Hey viewers, how you doing? My name is Stephanie, and you're gonna watch another Draw My Life video. I'm doing this as a project for school because we have to talk about what we learned in college, and I know that I'm not a famous YouTuber, so I don't know how many people are gonna see this, but it doesn't really matter because it's just for school. And yeah, this is the world, and I'm from North America. Who says that? I'm from New York. And yeah, I don't know where you are, but welcome. Lots of love. So the purpose of this video is to talk about what have I learned in college. And you know what? That's one freaking good question. So teaching has been a great experience to me. I love being in the classroom. I love being with students. I love learning, and I love helping kids learn. I don't think there's anything else that I could do with my time. I just really enjoy it. And I remember the first time I stepped into a classroom, I was working with another girl in my program. And I was really nervous a bit because I never really worked closely with anyone before. But, you know, she's really sweet, and we worked really well together. And the teacher that we worked with was really cool too. She was this like really, I don't know, I guess hippie, but she was cool. And I learned a lot, but it was not the school I wanted to teach because they were really progressive, and I don't really like that all too much. I like more structure, especially because I realized soon thereafter, well, a year after, that I really want to teach special needs students who have special needs. And the reason why I say this is because they're just such great kids, and it's really hard to find people who want to teach them. And the more that I work with them, the more I realize that they really need people who care for them and who are willing to dedicate time, because working with special needs students takes a lot of time and effort. And you know, they say that time is money, and apparently that's what most careers are. I'm not saying that, whatever, forget that. This isn't a philosophy video, but you know, it takes a lot of time and dedication. And like, my current CT stays in school until like 7 p.m. just working for the following day, because it's so hard to plan and modify for each and every student. It gets crazy sometimes. I'm not gonna say it doesn't, and I never thought that I was gonna end up working with students with special needs. But here I am, 4 years later, after my first year in college, right? No, so 3 years later, and I realized that there's nothing else that I want to do. I want to work with special ed kids. I just think they're so great, because although there are kids that literally are like building blocks and like having a jolly good old time and singing songs and just being really happy, that's a student whistling. That doesn't really know what they did. You know, they're just singing and having a good time, and then all of a sudden another kid will like come behind them and like push them and like mess up their life. That's what happens a lot of the time. But you know, do it for the love. Do it for the love. But I've learned that you know, with every student, regardless of their needs or their academic level or their interests or anything really, every student is their own person. And as a teacher, I think that's one of the most important things to take into consideration, because every student is like their own little world, and it's your job to try to enter that world and to really, really get to know your students. So I think that's the most important thing I've learned. That's just how it works. But that's because I work with students who have emotional disturbance. And my last CT said you have to have a little ED to work with kids who have ED. I don't know how true that is, but you know, she said it. But it has nothing to do with them. It's, you know, these psychological issues. And I also study psychology, so I've learned a lot. And I love learning about how kids' brains develop, especially seeing it in context. There's this one girl in my class who has like really long hair. I just wanted to draw her. And then I have this cute little kid in my class right now who has these like amazing braids, and he's just so cute and tiny. But regardless of whatever the child looks like or whatever the child is capable of, like if they can even write their name or if they can like identify numbers, you know, regardless of whatever they can do, they still are people, and all people really need is love, you know, to quote the Beatles, although I don't really like the Beatles. But I realized that in learning in every aspect of my life, that being a teacher is such an honor. It's not at all an easy job, and it won't ever be. And in America, it's definitely the most underappreciated job. And I wish my hair was like this. It's not though, but it's my video, so deal with it. It's the most underappreciated job, but regardless, you know, I do it with love. And whenever a student smiles, really, I don't mean to be cheesy at all, but whenever a student smiles because they're able to really understand something, like that the number 23 has 2 10s and 3 1s. These are 10s. Just bear with me. You know, just such a basic concept like that really shows me that they just need to be pushed and they just need help. And that's what I want to do. I want to help them. So I won't be teaching right away. I will be continuing my education and going to grad school where I can become even more of a scholar and keep learning about these special needs students and like what I can best do to reach them, because I think if I really want to be a teacher, I have to be the best one, and that's how I roll. So I'm going to the #1 special ed program in the country, which I'm really excited about. And I hope that one day, you know, I'll be a great teacher. And I know it won't ever be easy, because it's always hard when you have these like sweet kids who just go around and like flip you off, because they do that a lot of the time. But at the end of the day, they'll like realize the error of their ways most of the time, not always. And they'll like come up to you and give you a big hug and say, "I'm sorry, Miss V. I won't do that again." And although that's not true, you know, it's nice. And I just want my students to understand that no matter how many mistakes you make, that it's okay, and you just have to keep trying and keep doing your best, because the world isn't an easy place. And regardless of what happens in life, you just gotta do your best. And no matter what obstacles you face, whether you can't spell your name, or you don't know that 2 + 2 is 4, or you don't know, or you can't remember what your mother's name is, or you don't know that you live in America or wherever you live in the world, or that you hear voices, you know, whether you hear voices and you can't distinguish reality, that you just have different perceptions, or you can't see because you're almost legally blind, or you can't hear because you're deaf, or you know, can't sit still and you're just always running around and driving everyone nuts. Regardless of that, regardless of all that, that you can be the very best.